What's going on, my fellow folks butts? ZabuTheSergal here, and I'm back in another video just to educate my people. And today we're going to kick it off with another question from the Q&A, and we're going to elaborate on that a little bit. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get in this. How has your day-to-day life changed with the arrival of the adorable Aaron? Well, the main thing about that is that as far as getting, 8+ hours of sleep, that can be kicked out of the door. Because, as most people know, babies, they need a lot of needs, throughout their life or throughout their, recent upbringings and stuff like that. So the whole 8-hour sleep thing kind of can't happen because their needs kind of rotate between like a 2 to 3 hour period. So you got to sleep in between these periods because, you got to feed them and change diapers and stuff like that. Make sure that they're all right. You got to bathe them, things of that nature, keep the clothes changed and all that. Make sure that they don't, spit up and, start choking and all of these things. So there's a lot of little things that you got to work on. And, they're solely dependent on their parents. So you got to give them that constant supervision, I guess you could say. So as far as, anything changing, that's pretty much the only thing. I mean, yeah, the baby exists and it's there, but as far as, taking care of it and stuff like that, that's kind of a given. But the only thing that's really changed is the lack of sleep. It's just like we've added, taking care of the baby into our daily lives, and we've had to cut out quite a bit of sleep. I'm pretty sure Babby, she's taking a nap with the baby right as we speak. So, yeah. Has your life changed in the way you expected, and do you have any pro tips for would-be parents? I guess it's definitely changed in the way that I expected. I expected for, the sleep to be on a minimum because you got to take care of the baby, things of that nature. And, babies, they kind of throw you for curveballs, like if they spit up a little bit more than usual, or if it happens to be like a full-on vomit, you got to clean that up and you got to, pat the back, make sure that it's all out or whatever. And, they get their cries out. And, Erin, she went through a colicky phase. It's a condition called colic where their stomach is upset and they just cry and cry for like hours and hours, and there's not really much that you can do. You can try your best to comfort them, but they just have to cry it out. And it was a very rough little patch, but luckily she's gotten over that. She's got a little spoiled because of that, because we had to, give her that constant comfort. But that's all right. Babies are going to be spoiled because who's going to refuse to hold their child? And as far as, tips for would-be parents, I guess I could say that you definitely need to develop a system, because we developed our system because, we were both working at the same time, but, moving on towards the pregnancy, we decided that Babby would stop working. That way she could constantly care for the child. And of course, I'd keep working. That way, I could keep the bills paid and stuff like that. So like when I'm, at work, she's caring for the baby. And of course, when I get home, then I go to sleep for, a couple hours, and then I wake up and then I help her rotate and do what she needs to do. I help her, deal with the baby and stuff like that. But of course, she's primarily, taking care of Aaron, and I'm primarily working. So we kind of have our little system worked out, and it works for the most part, save for the lack of sleep, because Aaron, she'll sleep when she wants to, and we just kind of have to deal with that, so that when she's awake, we're awake, and once she falls asleep, then we fall asleep. And we just kind of have to keep that rotating up until Erin gets a little bit older, and then the whole circadian rhythm changes and her sleep patterns change and all that, and her habits themselves end up changing, so we have to adapt to those changes. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say is develop a system. Find a way that you can have that constant care over the child and still, get your day-to-day life activities done. That way, you're still, doing your thing, still living your life and raising a baby at the same time. I mean, it is a little bit tedious for the most part, and, a lot of like the little things like, having more YouTube videos, drawing and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff has been put on hold, but for the most part, it's going to be okay. So that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter, because, Aaron's only 2 months old, so we don't have a whole lot of stuff to say on that because we're still just now getting the ball rolling. But of course, as time progresses, we're going to keep you guys more updated. That way you guys can be in the know, so you don't feel all left out and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on the whole parenting thing. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and close this. So if you like this video, go ahead and scratch that like button so that I can know to post more awesome content in the future. You want to talk to me? Have some Twitter. You want to stay updated as well as know when the next Q&A is going to be? have fur affinity. One of y'all fan art is ZabuTheSergal. Fan art is always welcome. Keep it clean. Nah. But as always, my name is ZabuTheSergal, and I'm out of here. For those of you who don't know, she's a very famous and very talented cosplayer. You know, she's been handmaking her cosplays for, a very long time, and she goes to a lot of super big conventions and things of that nature. And I saw that on a couple of tweets, she had just recently found out about the furry fandom, and she was really intrigued in getting a fur